Over a 5-decade career, Larry Gelbart has worked with everyone from Bob Hope to Sid Caesar to John Belushi and Whoopi Goldberg and many, many others. His credits include the play, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, the films, Oh God and Tootsie, and the television series MASH. Laughing Matters is his memoir of his life as a comedy writer, and I am enormously pleased to have him on this broadcast one more time. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What will we learn about comedy writing here?
What will we learn?
It's hard as hell.
Well, I don't know. Comedy writing, of course, is a craft, and how well you can apply that craft or how comic you are depends on your own comic skills.
But if it's a craft, it means that you can learn it.
You can learn what makes a comedy, but then it's still up to you to take the top off and pour the comedy
All
in.
right, but here's the question. I mean, I've asked, if I take you and Neil Simon and 10 other people,
right,
and say, is there a common denominator here, what would it be?
Neil Simon and 10 other people like us?
Yeah, right.
Well, we're all...
Who've written for theater, who've written for film,
right,
who've written for Jack Parr and Mel Brooks and Sid Caesar, and I have a dozen other people.
Yes. Well, we all started quite young. I think we're all Jewish, most of us. We were. That's
now, why is that?
Our parents were Jewish.
Yes, that makes a difference.
Yes, it does. That's the start
but
of it.
you can be Jewish without having Jewish parents.
Yes, you can. I wasn't that lucky. We were parents of immigrants. We were parents who had very close connections to Europe. We had a different point of view. We were all urban, bright.
Yeah.
We had many things in common,
including New York.
Well, I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago, but...
Well, Chicago is New York on the road. You know,
exactly.
if it worked out well, it was going to become New York.
Yeah.
I came to New York early enough to be part of that 50s time.
Yeah.
But what we have in common is a gift, and however self-serving that sounds, it's not a gift any of us ask for or that we can return. You know, we just seem to see things through a humorous prescription.
Of all the things you have written, you got to put one in some kind of time capsule.
Yes.
What's that going to be?
Forum. Funny thing happened on the way to the Forum.
Why?
Firstly, it was a collaboration. Burt Shevelov, the late Burt Shevelov, and I wrote the book. Stephen Sondheim wrote the score. It was the most daunting assignment I ever gave myself. It was 5 years in the writing, over 10 drafts. Very difficult concept to do a Roman comedy that would work today without being anachronistic. And it was my college. I learned everything I think I know about comedy writing from that experience. And the fact that it can come back 40 years later and be successful again says something about the kind of job we did.
Who did it first?
Performed it?
Yeah.
Zero Mostel.
Right.
Jack Guilford.
Right.
Davy Burns, John Carradine, Raymond Walburn.
Wow.
Directed by George Abbott at the age of 75.
Yeah. And then on second time around?
Second time around, Phil Silvers and the late Larry Blyden, who produced it. Third time around, Nathan.
Nathan.
Followed by Whoopi. First time a woman played the role.
And was that your idea?
That was her idea. Her agent, knowing that Nathan was leaving,
said, why not me?
Why not me?
And you thought it was a good idea on its face or not?
And I said, why not her indeed? It's about a comedian.
And did it work well while she was doing it?
People were thrilled to be in the same room with her in the theater. Yeah. They just adored her. And it worked. It worked like a charm.
Almost more than anybody I know, she's sui generis in show business, isn't she?
Yes. She's remarkable. She wasn't the broad comic that the other people who populated that role had been, but she brought something else to it. And curiously, the story worked better with Whoopi because she didn't step out of the role as many times as other people did.
The most gifted natural comic of that group?
Of those four?
The people that play the lead in Forum.
I think it's all of them. Comic... Well, Phil worked the longest as a comic.
Yeah, but he was a stand-up comic.
He was a stand-up comic, but I'm taking you at your word.
Right.
Zero was an actor, a comic who became an actor who could work as a comic. Phil was a comic from beginning to end. Nathan, of course, has done many kinds of roles.
And can do anything.
And can and does, and so does Whoopi. But for a pure comic, it was Phil.
Phil, yeah. Today, I know you get asked this all the time, and I only ask it once and then move right on.
Right.
How is it different today than it was then?
It being?
Being the writing comedy, creating comedy for the stage in comparison today and what we see on the tube? In the tube, and what we see
Comedy's rougher and tougher, more vulgar.
More edge.
More edge, but it's reflecting the society.
Less wit?
Wit is a three-letter word. Mostly we hear four-letter words.
That's good.
Fortune cookies are us.
How about MASH?
How about it?
I mean...
Okay, next subject.
No. Why do you say that?
No. I don't know what you...
Well, I mean, MASH is an extraordinary television phenomenon.
It really is. I'm very proud of what I had to do with it, yes.
What did you have to do with it?
I watched it every week. I wrote the pilot episode. It was, of course, based on a film, which was, of course, based on a book. So I can't, my credit, most properly, is developed by. I can't take credit for creating MASH. The greatest pleasure now comes when someone comes up and says, a young person says, I wasn't born when the show was on, or I watched it every week with my parents.
Oh, God, that's painful. I wasn't born when the show was on.
I usually say neither was I. It was just, but it will never cease to be,
a classic,
a source of pride, and it is a classic. Yeah, I'm not being modest about it. I know it's very. It also is part of the culture.
There's a PBS program about all you and all this other stuff. Here it is, a clip showing you and MASH and some other things. Take a look.
I said, what are you doing with the wall? What is that? And he said, there's this little old man who writes all my stuff, and this is how I communicate. Well, after Larry left, we missed him, especially those of us who were writing the show, because we found out that no matter how long you stand there at the wall, the little old man really prefers to talk to Larry. Here now are a few clips of the comic poetry that Larry wrote for MASH. Here are a few bites of the Gelbart sandwich.
I will not carry a gun, Frank. When I got into this war, I had a very clear understanding with the Pentagon. No guns.
Alan Alda.
Yes.
A complete professional. You said to me during the break, you put it on the page. You don't have to underline. You don't have to have stage direction. You don't have to do anything. He takes it as it's written and brings it right on.
He just, by osmosis of some kind. I mean, it was just a brilliant, for me, collaboration. There was nothing I wrote for him that he could. That's why I wrote those sort of aria-like speeches for him, because I loved him going on and on and on, because it let me go on and on and on.
It's great to find an actor or an actress that can just deliver your stuff, knowing that you, however far I want to take it, I'm not limited by the inexperience or the inability of the performer.
Exactly. Sid Caesar was like that. Whatever we wrote for Sid, he could just do it.
And make it better.
And make it better. Oh, yes, sure. Bring it to life. Otherwise, it's literature, but he made it drama.
Now, there's this story about you and your father.
Yes.
And I guess it was Danny Thomas. Your dad cut Danny Thomas's hair?
My dad was Danny Thomas's barber in California, yes.
And he got you the job writing?
Yes, but he used to shave Danny before he went on the radio.
And so with a razor right here, he said,
that's right.
My son will be working for you tomorrow, Mr. Thomas, right?
Exactly. As I said, he was kind of a combination of Sweeney Todd and Mama Rose. And he just kept talking about his brilliant son without checking with me first, and said he could write comedy. So Danny said, well, let him do something and show it to me. And I did. I was 16 in high school at the time. And I wrote it, and here I am on the Charlie Rose Show.
Better here than cutting hair.
Any place, yes, indeed.
Who was the first big star you worked for after that?
Ed Gardner, who was the proprietor and star of a radio show called Duffy's Tavern.
Yeah, I remember it. I don't remember it, but I mean, I remember
about
it.
You wouldn't. No, it was a wonderful, wonderful show to be, because language was a great part of that show. It's a great part of any radio show, but the enjoyment of twisting it and turning it was very evident on that show.
And radio today. I just went over the other day to do an interview with Arthur Miller at a theater, Signature Theater. And he did a radio play that he'd written in 1941, I think. And it was fascinating to me to watch and see what radio was about.
It was our life. That and the movies on Saturday.
Yeah. And all the greats did it.
Oh, absolutely.
Jack Benny.
And all the movie stars. There was a wonderful show called Lux Radio Theater in which you heard the biggest stars, Clark Gable, that kind of magnitude. They were on every Monday night.
When did you work with Hope?
I worked with Hope from 1948 to 1952. I'm still in the reserves if there's a war somewhere, and Bob can call me up.
What was his genius?
I don't know. It always
his gift.
His gift was he's smart. I remember once his manager.
And rich.
Oh, well, that's how he got rich, being smart. His manager, Jimmy Sapphire, once said to me that Hope could have been the president of General Motors. He's that savvy. But that's the business side. He just knows how to please an audience. He can dance, he can sing, he can tell jokes. He's just got it, or had it. I mean, he's 94, you can't have it forever.
And his audience, the audiences just loved him. That was a thing.
Ate him up.
Ate him up.
I mean, you can't imagine what it's like to watch Hope performing in an empty swimming pool and the surrounding hillside, entertaining 50 to 60 to 100,000 troops, all sitting there with loaded rifles and knapsacks on their back. I mean, it's extraordinary.
Jack Parr.
I worked with Jack on his first radio show when he replaced Jack Benny back in 1946 or 7. He was a wonder. He still is. Very unusual guy. Bright, writes his own stuff, terrific.
Yeah. How do you measure this career? I mean, when you look at it, laughing matters. What do you say?
Well, I never thought of a career. I always thought I was working, and now I turn around and see that I had a career.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very pleased to have been able to do as much as I've done for as long as I've done, given that early start, and still be able to do it, or people want me to do what I do.
Sid Caesar.
Sid,
you've done this before, but
that's okay. You can do Sid.
Well,
you can do Sid forever.
I know.
Sid was remarkable. I think I may say it in the book, and if I don't, I certainly feel it. He was our heavyweight champ. Our being, the writing staff, he could just do anything we asked him to do. Incredibly versatile.
And he led it.
Led it?
Yeah, but wasn't he the?
He let it happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
but he led he was the guy at the head of the table, wasn't he?
He was in the middle of the table.
In the middle of the table.
He didn't direct the writing. He would be the editor-in-chief, so to speak.
I see.
We would be pitching material, and he would be nodding at the guy at the typewriter saying, this is in, that's not in. But
based on what he thought would work.
Yes, of course. And very often he would take our word for it that it would work. Yeah. If we were too far out on something, he went with our instincts as well. It was a benign, dictatorship in that room.
Oh God.
Oh God is based on a novel by Avery Corman, and originally I was going to direct that picture for David Susskind of all people, and I asked Woody Allen if he would play what became the John Denver part, and I asked Mel Brooks if he would play God. Woody was working on something else at the time, and I don't think Mel wanted a demotion.
You knew Woody from Sid Caesar? Or what?
I knew Woody from Sid Caesar. Right. I met him on Sid Caesar, yes.
Yeah, and Mel was working or something?
No, I say Mel didn't want to play God because he didn't want the demotion. Yeah. It took me 2 tries, Charlie.
I know, I didn't get it the first time. I didn't hear it. And so, therefore, George and John Denver.
Yes, George was my idea. Jerry Weintraub, who produced the picture and was John Denver's, the late, unfortunately, John Denver's manager, suggested him, and it was a wonderful combination.
George Burns was amazing, huh?
Beyond amazing. I mean, I would see him quite often, right up until his 99th year. Funny. It was George Burns to the end. Unfortunately, the end finally did come.
Was he the business side of George and Gracie?
Yes, he was very good. He was extremely smart businessman. Many
and
comics
he figured it out. He figured it out that if he played the role that he did and she played the role she played, that making her the smart one would...
Right off the bat, he knew that Gracie was the money.
That's it. Well said.
Yes.
Here's Oh God. Take a look.
Let's move on to movies. This is something I've been looking forward to all night. This is a long montage we have of Larry's work in the movie, so let's roll it and enjoy.
Young people can't fall from my grace. They're my best things. Put that down.
What did you say?
What do you mean what I said? I said I gotta think it over. I went in the ladies' room. I almost pissed in the sink. I'm in trouble, man.
You and Dustin don't speak.
We speak, but not to each other.
Better said. You and Sidney?
We speak. I got a lovely note from him the other day. We didn't speak, but I got a lovely note.
Now, what happened?
Well, it was just that the thing that happens on movies. You know, you're writing it, and the next thing you know, somebody else is writing it and writing it. I spent a year on that movie.
And boy, when somebody screws around with your words, it does not make Mr. Larry happy.
So watch it, Charlie.
No, I mean, is that true? You don't think that an actor could come up with a better idea than you have? What's on the page?
If an actor comes up with a better idea, I will acknowledge that. I can't resist intelligence or logic, even from an actor.
You're going to get it. So what? So Dustin kept improvising and changing and insisting on changes, and you finally said...
There were some things they wanted to do that I didn't agree with, and it also would have meant coming to New York for another 6 or 7 months to work on the picture.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, it's for the craft, it's for the art.
I have something, I have a little unit in my life called my family.
Do you like movies best, write theater best? Do you like television best? Do you like what best?
I like writing best. And then if it has to go somewhere, I like it being in the theater.
Right, because?
Because the writer is king or queen, and it's very contained. You're working with fewer people. You're not getting notes, you know, from executives who weren't born when you started that piece. And you get to work more directly with the audience.
Yeah. You know, you just don't respect executive enough. These people really know what they're doing. They've been around, and they know what they're doing.
For days. Some of them for days. I say in there that I once had a meeting with a fetus in a 3-piece suit.
Fetus.
Yes.
Hadn't even come out.
That's right. And unfortunately, he did.
But had so yes.
Yes.
That was a problem. In a tuxedo or just a Navy suit?
Only at award time.
Writing, you want to write for the theater. Is that the easiest to write for?
When you're writing something that you really have a feeling for, then I don't know if easy is the word, but it's the most enjoyable working on that, no matter where it's going.
What do you do best in terms of writing? Do you have best an eye ear for dialogue, for narrative, for a phrase? What?
I think what I do best in writing is rewriting. I think once I get something that works or seems to work, fine-tuning, polishing, honing, perhaps rethinking scenes. That's the most enjoyable part of the process.
Thinking about all these people that you work with, I mean, just reflect those we've already talked about and perhaps some others that are in here. I mean, you look at this, I mean, you see pictures of some of the biggest people in our business who've come along, from Whoopi and everybody else that are there, Danny Thomas and Woody Allen. Woody Allen.
Woody and I worked together on two what were called television specials, 2 one-hour shows when he was quite young. He was introduced to me as the young Larry Gelbart, and I said, I am the young Larry Gelbart. He's extraordinary. I think he's one of the most original and industrious and creative people of this century.
Original and industrious and creative people of this century?
Yes. I meant this month, I'm sorry. I forgot.
You just, this century.
This century. I mean, he is...
Forget Charlie Chaplin.
Well, Charlie Chaplin. Oh, I didn't know he changed his name. Woody did. Well, you named me...
his name.
Exactly. You name me another American director with Woody's track record. The number of films, the quality of those films.
Clint Eastwood.
Not as funny as Woody.
Well, okay.
Except when he's trying to do comedy. And not Clint Eastwood. No, Woody's got...
The body of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes on and on and on.
When you look at... if you were going to have a dinner...
Right.
And God had
I would
said...
not invite Red Buttons.
Why?
Because nobody ever gives a dinner for Red Buttons. And God said, here's a list. Give me a guest list.
No, God said the following.
Yes.
I'm taking you, Larry. I'm taking you.
He's taking me to dinner?
Yeah, no, he's taking you away from this earth.
Oh.
God's going to take Larry to his reward. This is projecting 30 years into the future.
Or
tomorrow.
Yes.
And I've got it on tape if it happens tomorrow.
Yes. God, only last night he was on.
Only last night he said. And God said, have one great dinner and laugh your head off, because I'm taking you tomorrow to your just rewards.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. But tonight you party.
I would have a 75-course meal, which would go on for a long time.
We would eat, would we?
And who would I have to the party?
Yes, sir. Who wants to make Larry laugh, and who would Larry be comfortable with, and who would be happy with? Exclude family. That's later.
Exclude family. Okay. Who would I laugh at? Oh God, how many places at this table?
12. Give me 4.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
Mel with
for
the-
sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I might not have him stay the whole evening. No, Mel never fails.
Would you have him without Carl Reiner?
Carl would be there.
Yeah, Carl
to
would be
help.
there. To help with Mel.
Exactly. But I don't know. It's such
This is a
short
tough one,
notice.
isn't it?
It really is.
Now, is it tough because you don't want to leave somebody out, or because you're not that way? I mean, you just say it like it is. You don't care anymore.
I think so. Maybe I could have Dustin in for coffee.
That would be funny.
That would be nice. Can we get back to the dinner? Why don't we try lunch first? If that works, we'll have this huge godlike dinner.
Well, okay. So who would you want there? Who are you going to call for this? Beyond funny, maybe just provocative, maybe interesting.
Provocative and interesting would be better.
Okay.
I always love meeting with Stephen Sondheim. I think he's enormously.
Right. And we need music for this too, don't we?
For dinner, not for lunch.
No, but we need music for where we're going.
Right.
We want to go away with the right song.
Well, this would be just lunch for 2.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
All right. Just lunch for 2.
That's it.
Okay.
Bill, okay.
All right. Who else? Sid Caesar?
No, Sid is not Mr. Articulation.
Really?
I love Sid, and he knows I love him, but Sid has the most trouble being Sid. If I send an invitation to Sid's house and say, I would like you to come as John the janitor, then he'll show up and be the janitor all through lunch, and it would be very funny. But if I say, Sid, you come.
No, I said Caesar.
He has no way of knowing who that is.
Yes, that's great.
So, geez.
How about Robin Williams?
Yes, Robin. The people I don't know.
You don't have to know him.
Oh, well, Robin Williams is enormously entertaining.
He is.
He's enormously entertaining.
As good as I know.
Fabulous. I mean, he's from Mars. I have no idea how what's
how it got wired
on that hard drive. It's just amazing. I'd have him. I'd have Steve Martin.
Yeah. And Steve could serve 2 purposes. One, he could be funny, but he also is so brilliantly smart.
Okay.
Right?
Are you coming to this?
I'm just.
You're doing such a beautiful job of making up my guest list.
Well,
you're not going to be there, Charlie.
No,
I'm sorry. Maybe breakfast. That's enough. That's enough, people. Right. Give me the bill. I'm finished with this lunch.
So what didn't you say in here that you should have said, huh?
Oh, dear. I didn't say anything about what's going to happen to me in the next, not 30 years, but the next.
How old are you?
I was 70, February 25th.
70. Was that
70?
Was that traumatic at all for you? I mean, you look terrific.
You think
look like
70s? You think 70's any better than 69?
I don't know.
I am a young man,
Yeah.
but except when you see the X-rays.
Oh,
inside there's a 70-year-old man. Yes.
Yes. But any great thing you want to do in the remaining time, in the next 30 years, achievement, or you just want to go out there in the little garden and putt around?
No, I want to go to my office and
and do what? And write one great play?
No, just write. If it turns out to be great, fine. Nothing I ever did, I thought, this is a great piece of work. It was just something which entertained me, and so I had every reason to suspect it might entertain others.
You never set out to write a great piece of
Who
literature.
does? I mean, that's a recipe for disaster.
If you set out with such high and noble aspirations, you will never reach them.
Never. You can just aspire to do your best.
Yeah. Laughing Matters on writing, on MASH, on Tootsie, Oh God, and a few other funny things. Larry Gelbart is our guest, and a remarkable tour through American comedy and film and theater and television. He has been there and done that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.